What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locks DFS MLB breakdown video for this Wednesday, June 19th MLB slate. We got a 10-game slate on tap on DraftKings and FanDuel to get into with a ton of good options. I'm going to be breaking down both the hitters and the pitchers on this slate, so stay tuned just a second. Before I get into that, be sure to leave a comment and subscribe to this channel. You will have a chance to win a free season pass from Locks DFS, a $199 value, as you can see on our website here. And you'll have access all season to MLB, or if you want, you could choose a NFL pass for the future, an NBA pass for the future. And with that said, if you are not a member of Locks DFS yet, be sure to check us out. Give us a chance to make you a better DFS player. We really think we can do that for you, giving you our cash plays, our GBP plays, our value plays every single day, and grading out those players, breaking down the matchups, and going through in some of our articles, our top stacks, and our I go through a first look, which goes through the stats I'll be using to build my own lineups today. So be sure to check us out at locksdfs.com, and also be sure to comment and subscribe for a chance to win that free season pass. And with all that said, let's get into this pretty interesting 10-game slate. So, The biggest thing I wanted to mention about this 10-game slate right at the top is that I am gonna break down 3 pitchers in specific, but I did want to go into just looking at this slate and looking at how many pitchers I think are actually plays that I think you can consider on this slate. So of course you have Scherzer at the top, someone that I don't think I'll be considering for cash against Philadelphia, but is Scherzer. So of course you got to be considering him even at this price against a pretty decent hitting Philadelphia team. Giolito is in a great matchup, great against a Cubs team that does not hit the slider very well. Let me go ahead and pin that up on top. I apologize for that. So you get Giolito. I've got Rich Hill, someone I'm going to be talking about shortly. I should say Giolito more tilted towards a GBP option. Rich Hill, someone I'll be looking at in cash. Greinke, I think, has a very, very good price against Colorado team that doesn't hit righties well, but should be able to roll out a pretty lefty-heavy lineup. That said, Greinke has been very good versus lefties in the past 2 years, so I think this is a pretty solid spot for Greinke at the price. Heaney is a guy who we're going to talk about, has a bunch of strikeout upside. Going a little bit further down, you've got John Lester, who I'm going to talk about. I like the price on him. Trevor Williams in a spot where he can get a few extra strikeouts. However, he's not much of a strikeout pitcher, but he does get a great park, and he gets a matchup with a few more Ks in the lineup. You have at the very bottom, you have Max Fried at 6.1K, who I just think is very cheap for the matchup. However, someone that I think pretty much you're just going to be trying to get to in tournaments to maybe pay up for expensive stacks. That's pretty much all. I do think the price is very fair on him, though. So with all that said, let's get into the first pitcher. Going to be probably my SP1 on the day, and that is going to be Richard Hill for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So the one thing I like about getting to Hill in this matchup is that, we'll talk about the Giants shortly, but mostly I want to talk about that Hill he's no longer on a pitch count. He's been getting over 100 pitches. He's been getting through 7 innings. That is really, really good for Rich Hill, a guy who really doesn't give up, bad contact. He really, really limits damage. He is giving up a decent amount of hard contact to righties, so maybe give out some one-off power to righties. It's possible. As you can see, this home run per fly ball number, that's very, very high. It'll come down, but still a high number, so there's a chance he'll give up some power to righties. If that's the only concern for Hill, even if you look at this XFIP, 3.31, 3.45 to lefties, you've got these K rates, 10.6 and an 8.76 to lefties, K per nines. So they're both pretty good against both hands. He's got a swinging strike rate over 10%. You've also got a matchup here against the Giants, 66 WRC plus and 112 ISO, 24% K rate versus lefties on the year, and a lineup that just is not very imposing with Donovan Solano at the top and then a lefty. You've got 3 righties in the middle here with all decent power, but none of them with crazy power. Same with Pilar, I guess you could put him in that class. And then these bottom 3 really guys who strike out a good amount, and he's got the pitcher spot down here as well. So really like the spot for Hill. I think the price is fair. We're getting him at 100 pitches in a great matchup against a 3-run total in the Giants. He's going to be my top pitching option on the day, and he should come in pretty owned, and it should represent the matchup and the price. So, second pitching option on the day. I kind of want to talk about Lester and Heaney as my SP2. However, I am leaning towards Lester as my SP2. I do think he is the safer option against the White Sox team. Let's pull up these numbers against White Sox. The White Sox are striking at a 24% clip versus lefties this year with a 129 ISO and a 96 WRC plus. They do add, the 96 WRC plus. They have a decent amount of hitting, but on this team, but they're coming with a 3.2 run total. And Lester is pitching in a park that's going to be 57 degrees with the wind blowing in and might even be raining a bit. So the lineup just came out as I started this video, so nothing too crazy in this lineup. He's going to be facing a lineup of righties. We expected that. It's going to be a little bit tougher for him to get strikeouts, but still is a team that is going to strike out a good amount versus lefties, even if they are ruling out a bunch of righties. These are guys who just strike out, especially the bottom of the lineup. Yoan Moncada, Ryan Cordell, Yolmer Sanchez. All of these guys are going to be striking out a good amount. Definitely some tough outs in this lineup, don't get me wrong. Abreu, Tim Anderson, even Eloy. Like, those guys are going to be tough outs for Lester, don't get me wrong. But I do really like the park. I think that he's a pretty solid play, but definitely this 45% hard contact rate is concerning. I just think the price and there is a decent amount of K upside to get him over that value threshold, and I do think that he can get there today. So he is my preferred SP2, but I will be looking into these other options such as Heaney and Greinke. And I do want to mention Heaney very, very briefly. He's a guy who's been giving up a lot of hard contact this year. 3 home runs per 9 to righties, 5.63 xFIP to righties, 40% hard contact, 73% fly ball, all to righties. He's going to be facing a good amount of righty power in this lineup as well. So this lineup just came out as well. Really, the only 3 he's going to be looking at as this lineup has been rolled out is just going to be Vlad, Gurriel, and Grisham. Teoscar did not make the lineup. He's a little bit banged up. That actually is going to be a big, big plus for Heaney because as this lineup has rolled out now, there are a lot more Ks in the bottom of this lineup. Cavana actually hits lefties decently, but Galvis versus lefties is going to strike out a good amount. Jansen in general going to strike out a decent amount. Tellez versus lefties, he does have some power, but he's going to strike out a lot. And Drury is a pretty easy strikeout as well. So he's definitely got some strikeout upside for a guy who has had a phenomenal swinging strike rate this year. 16% swinging strike rate this year. Didn't quite get there against the Rays. Was walked a few extra guys, but in general has really limited his walks as well. So a guy who just has a little bit of one-off power but has a ton of K upside and isn't walking guys, someone I definitely think is going to be in play. And definitely someone who I think has a good amount of more upside than someone like John Lester, who does not have that strikeout upside at all. Even in this matchup, doesn't have the strikeout upside that someone like Heaney can bring. So those are going to be the 3 pitching options I want to talk about. There will be more on the sheet because, like I said, there are a bunch of pitching options on this slate. Okay, let's go ahead and get into some hitting options now. So first I'm going to talk about is going to be these Cleveland Indians coming in with a 5.4 team total against Joe Palumbo. So Palumbo has been in Double-A. However, it mostly is just him still coming back from this Tommy John surgery. He suffered a Tommy John injury in 2017. Last year, pitched only about 50 innings. I believe he came out of the bullpen. This year, though, he's making starts. He's got in Double-A, he's got 11 per 9 K per 9 and a 3.8 xFIP. He's been a very, very solid pitcher. Someone who in his first major league start against the A's a few weeks back, I don't know how recently it was, but he was actually pretty solid. He's got a really good curveball. He's got a really good changeup. However, this is a very good park for the Indians to be playing in, even with the wind blowing in. You still see the temp at 82 degrees here and the humidity is 68%. So pretty good hitting environment, even with a decent amount of wind blowing in. So guys, pretty much 1 through 5, I'm going to be targeting here. I think they all are in play. Bowers even can hit lefties pretty well, as you saw him hit that cycle against Carpenter in the Tigers bullpen. He's pretty cheap down here, although batting 8th, probably not someone I'm targeting. Really going to be looking to get to Mercado, Luplow, Joe Ram. Like, those are the guys I'm going to be trying to get to. I do think Lindor price is pretty expensive. And I definitely am going to be looking at the pitch type data as Palumbo uses those changeup and curveballs as out pitches. So, getting down 0-2 in the count, 1-2 in the count, 2-2 in the count. He's going to be looking at that pitch. And I do think that looking at pitch type data for these guys is going to be very important. I'll be doing that before I get into the sheet and getting into the lock sheet, breaking down that pitch type data for you guys, for you members. So those are going to be the Indians. I do also like the other side of this game as well. Let's go ahead and pull up Adam Plutko's numbers this year. We're looking at a 4.52 xFIP to righties and a 5.89 xFIP to lefties. He's not striking out a lot of guys. Look at these home run numbers: 4.63 home run per 9 to righties, 1.54 home run per 9 to lefties. We're seeing fly ball rates 52%, 49%. So he's a very, very shifted towards a fly ball pitcher. 35% hard contact to righties. So, but the issue is that a lot of these Rangers are really priced up. So the main guys I'm going to be looking at just for their prices are going to be Nomar Mazara and Asdrubal Cabrera. I like the price on Mazara a lot, 4.4K in this matchup, 5.2 team total. Asdrubal Cabrera, 4.1, hits righties pretty well. Chu's going to be a hard guy to get to in cash games, but I do think he is in play at 5K. However, there are some other outfielders that are priced up that I'm going to be getting to in just a moment. that I think you should be looking to instead. And Andrews, like I said, Plutko is pretty heavily reverse. He's got some pretty, I won't call him reverse splits, but he has some pretty hard, pretty bad contact against righties, lots of fly balls. I think Andrews is in play, but again, a guy who is pretty expensive and is going to be hard to get to in cash games. Last bet I'm going to talk about is going to be the Los Angeles Angels, and this team total is rising. So they've got a 5.5 team total. It's actually become the highest team total in the slate above the Indians now. My top hitter on this team is going to be Justin Upton at 4.1K against Aaron Sanchez. He's a reverse splits hitter coming up against a reverse splits pitcher in Aaron Sanchez. We pull up Sanchez's numbers this year. We have a 37% hard contact rate to righties. You see he keeps his fly balls down pretty well. But he's got a over 30% hard contact to both hands, 33% to lefties. He's got a 5.74 xFIP to righties, which is very, very high, especially for a guy who's been starting all year. So we've got a pretty solid sample size on him. 4.75 xFIP to lefties. So definitely someone that we could target. Blue Jays have a below average bullpen as well. Very, very good at hitting park for these guys. So, Justin Upton is probably one of my favorite plays of the slate at outfield. But I really think I'm going to probably be getting to either Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani as my other outfielder. With Mike Trout only 500 more, I'll probably be shifting towards Trout. But I do think you can definitely look to pretty much 1 through 5, 1 through 6 even in cash games. I do think that Fletcher price is okay as well. I also wanted to mention when I was talking about Heaney, we mentioned all that hard contact and fly balls. These prices on these Blue Jays, especially in GBPs, if we see, sorry, I should highlight these three. If we see Heaney ownership, guys like Vlad, Gurriel, and Grishik, who have a good amount of power versus lefties, really make a lot of sense against Heaney, who is giving up a ton of fly balls, ton of hard contact, pretty high xFIP. Of course, he's got a bunch of strikeout stuff as well, don't get me wrong, and I still think he's a very, very good play. But I think these guys make some sense as leverage plays against Heaney. Last bet I should talk about is just going to be the Braves. I just didn't want to mention them too much just because they're so expensive, they're hard to get to. But I eventually want to talk about them just to transition to my home run calls because Steven Matz is a guy who gives up a bunch of hard contact to righties. He does get a decent amount of strikeouts as well, but he's going to be giving up a bunch of hard contact. It's a pretty good hitter's environment, 83 degrees, 62% humidity. So my home run call is going to be Ronald Acuna Jr. I could make it Mike Trout on the other side as well, but I am going to go with Acuna. I think this is a bit better power matchup for Acuna. However, the price is going to be tough to pay. But Acuna will be my home run call of the day, my high-priced home run call of the day. And Cabrera, Mazar, I think DeShields is okay at that price as well. But anyway, low-priced home run call of the day. I wanted to leave you guys with two. I like Joe Ram. But like I mentioned, I am giving a good amount of respect to Palumbo. I still think I'm going to be going to Joe Ram at third base. He's probably going to be my top third baseman on the day. He should also be pretty chalky on this team. But he is going to be my low price home run call of the day. But I do want to mention also Kike Hernandez. Off his park, Pomeranz won't be protected by the giant park in San Francisco in this matchup. So I really like the spot for Kike. I think that he has a good amount of power versus lefties. And Pomeranz is going to give up a good amount of hard contact to righties as well. So those would be my two cheap home run calls, but Joe Ram will be the official home run call. And if Chris Taylor bats leadoff, he will be my home run call down there. Just see whoever bats leadoff for them. So with all that said, also be sure to comment and subscribe for a chance to win that free season pass from Locks DFS. With all that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys back here next time. Peace.